2020. The year starts off with dysfunction. Cycleforward Films presents the first in a cycle of 7 groundbreaking films in the dysfunction cycle. The first film, Betrayal, is a gripping film of family, evil, honor, and survival. The Dysfunction Cycle, January 1st, 2020, from Cycleforward Films.
It's January 1st, 2020. It's Dysfunction Day. Or at least it was supposed to be. When I originally envisioned the Dysfunction Cycle of films, it was like novels written as a cycle. I wanted it to be 7 films that would work as a cycle of films. I would use unknown actors, and I would shoot all the principal photography for all 7 films at the same time, since I already have the scripts for all 7 movies written. When the idea for the Dysfunction Cycle came to me, it came to me as a finished product. All I had to do was write it down. It was in my mind. I had each film clearly defined. I knew exactly what I wanted to accomplish with each film. And as it all came together, it all made sense. And it would be very easy to shoot all 7 films at the same time using unknown actors, and it would keep the continuity of all the stories consistent, and it would make them stronger, even though they would be released December 1st for 7 years. So the first one would be released in 2020. The second one would be released in 2021, etc., etc. Of course, that didn't work out because things in life change, but I do have the scripts, and from looking at those scripts, sure, I can't make them into movies, but I can make them into graphic novels. And in addition to making them into graphic novels, I can actually just write the novels, which is the easiest thing in my situation now. I can just write all 7 novels. So that's my goal right now, is to take the 7 scripts that are already written and turn those 7 scripts into 7 novels, or novellas maybe, because novels normally have more pages, but maybe I can flesh the story out just a little bit more, add a little here, a little there, and make 7 full-fledged novels that I would release all at one time as a set. And of course they would be for sale separately, of course, but I think that that's the beauty of this idea, is that it is going to happen. And I had high hopes that it would happen in 2020, but it's gonna be 2021, released as novels, perhaps then as graphic novels, and then perhaps as feature films. And when shooting the films, it really works best if you follow the novels once I release them, to shoot them all at one time with unknown actors who are really good, because the Dysfunction Cycle is about the dysfunction of the family unit, and it is also about a dysfunctional crime family, but a successful dysfunctional crime family. And these 7 novels details their evolution from one type of crime family to another type of crime family. So the same characters we see at the first film, we see them end in the 7th film, or evolve and move off into something else. The only reason why I wouldn't release each film all at one time, like for example on a Netflix or something, is because from the first film to the second film over that year, although principal photography would be shot, over that year, as I get feedback from fans and as things happen in the world, they will be incorporated into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th film. So even though all the main material will be shot and the main idea would be down, there would then be additional things added that would make the story stronger. and give it more gravitas, give it more of an epic feel. It's always great when you can take a story and embed it in time and have things there as Easter eggs that people who are from that time will get. You know, I was born in 1961, so as I look at cinema and TV shows from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to now and beyond, and even in the 60s before that, you look at a lot of the entertainment and things that happened before then, and there's just so much material that can be incorporated into a story to give you so many different Easter eggs that you don't know whether you're coming or going, but if it's handled right, you get a really strong feel for the story and whether you like it or not. And if you like it, you continue on with it. So, yeah, the dysfunction cycle will happen. And once I get these novels written, January 1st, 2020 will be Dysfunction Day. Then the graphic novels, and then the films. And hopefully, whether it's released on Netflix or whether it's released in theaters, I don't have a preference anymore. I used to have a preference that it be in theaters, that it would be event movies, where people would come and see the movie on January 1st after celebrating New Year's. So they would celebrate New Year's, they'd get finished with their drinking, the party would be over, and then they would watch the Dysfunction Cycle movie. It would all happen in the same venue. So, sort of like the Adam event things that they do, like what Kevin Smith did with the latest Jay and Silent Bob movie. He's doing it as events. So you could do it as events in different theaters with a star from the Dysfunction Cycle being at each location so that there can be a Q&A with that star. You would have limited locations. So every January 1st, it would be an event film. The Dysfunction Day. January 1st would be Dysfunction Day, and a Dysfunction Cycle film would be released for at least 7 years. And then, because the criminal organization evolved after the first 7 films, there would be an 8th film that would be shot in that 8th year. Although the script for that, I already have the outline for it because I already know how the organization evolves, who's still alive, who's not alive, who's a mentor, who's an enemy. And the story is with me still, and I can see going well beyond the 8th film because there's so much material there, especially with things that have been happening in the world since I came up with the idea. The way the world is changing, and the way the political structures have changed, and the way even the presidency has changed. So when you have a large international criminal organization, you also have branches in different countries. And because of that, it gives the story different places where it can go. And I've really visited all those places as I put together the story. And it blows my mind every time I look at it. And I hope that once other people get to see it, it will blow their mind too. Because what I love about the story and the way it came to me and the way it all worked out is that it could happen. It's not just fantasy. It's not just this great idea I came up with or that was given to me. I don't know how my mind came up with the story, but it came up with the story. I have the story, and I can just imagine how other people would look at it and say, yeah, I can see that happening. That's some messed up stuff, but I can see it happen. And it is totally dysfunctional. The dysfunction cycle is about the dysfunction that is our world. And the dysfunction that is our world is on full display. And when you distill it and put it into a film or a series of films, and then you show it, people see something that they've been looking at the entire time. They just see it in a different way, and that's of course what cinema is supposed to do, and that's what the dysfunction cycle will do once it's all said and done. So January 1st, 2020, it is Dysfunction Day, and this Dysfunction Day displays my personal dysfunction. I wasn't able to get to the point where I was able to make it a film, but writing a novel, all this to it is for me to do it. So I'm going to take my 7 scripts that I've already written. I'm going to put those in the novels. And what I love about the structure of the Dysfunction Cycle films is that each film is its own contained piece with questions, answers, a beginning, a middle, an end, and a conclusion. So if you didn't want to follow it after that first film, you don't have to. If you want to follow it after the first film, there are things that lead into the second film that when you see the second film, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You connect the dots. And then once you've watched the second film, if you're like, okay, I got my answers, I'm done, that's fine. But if you want to continue on, there's things in the third film that harken back to the first and second film that gives you even more answers and builds even more on the mythology of the crime family and the way they do business and the way things happen and the stories of the characters that you follow since the first novel, even some who have died. You get to know a little bit more of their history, and it bleeds over into other things and other characters that you didn't even know it was connected. So by the time you get to the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th film, you're every January 1st would be Dysfunction Day, because you'd want to see how the story progressed and continued and grew, and how many things from our current time were added into the story to make it richer and to give it a more epic feel. So I could go on and talk about this forever, but if I do, I'll start giving things from the story that I really want to keep secret, so that the people who read the novels the first time will say, wow, yeah, thank you. And then from the novels to the graphic novels, there are things that will be added. And then from the graphic novels to the films, there are other things that will be added, because the dysfunction cycle, like dysfunction, is a living, breathing thing that evolves and is out of control, man. Really, come on. It's out of control. Dysfunction, it's out of control. So you're always going to be adding new elements, new things unseen. You're going to see them. You'll be able to connect the dots. It will all be interconnected. It's like it's like it was amazing when I started to put it together and actually connecting the dots between all the different pieces of it. I did a mind map of the entire film series, and in that mind map, it just goes page after page after page, and I can insert and move things all over this mind map, and it's just amazing, the possibilities. As things change in the world, I'll have the principal photography already for all 7 films, and then you do supplemental shoots here, supplemental shoots there, you add footage here, you add footage there, you take out this world event, put in that world event, or you move that world event from this film to that film. It's amazing. And the beauty of it is, until the first film is released, you're not locked into any of it. So all of my ideas that I came with in 2008, it's now 2020 and beyond. I can massage the story to make it stronger and, like I said, more epic, because I want the Dysfunction Cycle to be a modern American epic of films that, if I'm correct, or if I'm even close to correct, it will find this audience. that is my greatest hope, is that even after I'm gone, the dysfunction cycle of films can continue on. And I will, of course, provide the roadmap for that. Because after the first 8 films, I envisioned that just as our complicated and messy world continues to be complicated and messy, the dysfunction cycle will continue to be complicated, messy, and entertaining. And that's my first broadcast for the dysfunction cycle. It's also my first broadcast for 2020. I will be doing other broadcasts in 2020. This is my year where I really bring my YouTube channel to life, where I talk about my ideas, where I talk about my films, where I talk about my novels, where I even read from some of my novels once I actually produce them, which will happen. So, and also I'm going to be talking on current events. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening to this. And if you liked it, please click like, please subscribe, please share it. And I'll leave you with this. Happy Dysfunction Day. January 1st, 2020. The dysfunction has begun. January 1st, 2020 is Dysfunction Day.